Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I have a horror movie review for you today, and it is the movie Dead Awake, and it stars Jocelyn Donahue and Jesse Bradford, and it is the story of it's a horror movie based on sleep paralysis. That's the hook here, the concept. Now I know somebody who suffers with sleep paralysis, and when they actually describe to me what they've experienced over the years, it sounds absolutely terrifying. So I was really interested in seeing this movie when I knew it existed, just for that reason alone, really, because there are actually some very, very good documentaries on YouTube about the phenomenon of sleep paralysis, and I really do feel for anybody that suffers from this. And this film focuses on that as a phenomenon, and it's for that on its own, it's a very interesting concept. And my understanding is that A Nightmare on Elm Street was kind of based on, the idea of sleep paralysis, and that was the inspiration for the movie Nightmare on Elm Street, or at least in part. So this film starts off. There's a set of twins, and one of them is suffering from sleep paralysis, and she's a mess basically, and the other sister is quite prim and proper, and got a job, quite professional, all that kind of stuff. And they've had a bit of a falling out, mainly because the other sister who suffers from sleep paralysis has had a lot of issues over the years. Nobody listens to her when she's saying that when she suffers with this sleep paralysis, there's something attacking her, and she describes it as a creature that gets on her chest and tries to strangle her. Everybody thinks that she's kind of hallucinating, etc. And they even go and see a doctor about it, who's played by Laurie Petty, who you may remember from the movies in the 90s, like Point Break and things. And she plays this doctor who's an expert in dreams and sleep, and she basically explains what sleep paralysis is, and not to worry, it's harmless, and etc, etc. So the sister who's suffering from it decides to kind of just go with it the next time it happens. But unfortunately, the next time it happens, this entity that appears and sits on your chest and strangles you kills her, unfortunately. And that's not a spoiler, because this happens fairly early in the movie, and then the focus then on the movie shifts to this twin sister who didn't believe her, and then she starts experiencing sleep paralysis, and so do a lot of other people who have a connection to the sister who died, the twin sister. So it's almost like they get infected with it, almost to a degree, and they all start suffering from it, and they're all then in danger. And this sister then has to figure out how to deal with this, learn about the phenomenon, and then investigate not only sleep paralysis but these stories of this creature, old hag syndrome, I think it was called, many years ago. And she meets a doctor, Dr. Hanan, I think he's called, who you can see on screen now, who, to be honest, is the creepiest doctor you will ever see in your life. To me, I mean, if he came up to me and talked the way he did, I'd run a bloody mile. To be fair, there's no way on earth you could trust him. He was properly creepy. But he's like a disgraced doctor who basically is a believer in regards to this hag that is sitting on people's chests and strangling them, etc. So that's the story here. Now, the concept alone I thought was very, very good here. The execution in parts, I think, let this movie down for a number of reasons. I mean, number one, there was a lot of stuff that wasn't explained, like how grown adults, like the twin sisters, just kept moving back home. There was no reason given for it, especially for the one who was a professional. She suddenly just moved home and started sleeping in the sister's room who died, which was creepy in itself. You just wouldn't do it. Number two, they went down some of the tropes that you just wouldn't do in reality, just walking into people's houses, things like that. I felt the film was a bit overly long. It was about 15 minutes too long. If they'd have shortened it a bit, I think it might have compacted it a bit. I think they stretched it out a little bit longer than they needed to. And finally, the film just wasn't scary enough. um, for me. It didn't frighten me. So they kind of failed on that part, and the creature itself was like a cross between the monster in Lights Out and The Rings. It was like a crossover of that. But I don't think the makeup was good enough on it, and it just wasn't frightening enough, and I didn't feel particularly threatened when I watched it or frightened. So that kind of failed a little bit. But I didn't really hate the film. I thought it was pretty good actually. I thought it was quite entertaining, and it is certainly worth a watch just on the concept alone.